So we just want you to introduce yourself firstly, just so everyone can know who the amazing partner we do have on board, the RMG program. So if you could just introduce yourself so everyone could know.
Of course. Thanks, Tyrell. My name's Corey Crone. I'm half owner with my wife at Beauty by Grace Day Spa. We're located in Austin, Texas. And we're also super duper excited to be partnered with the RMG team. It's been a wonderful experience so far.
Awesome. So like we always love to hear like the success stories, and this is the whole point of us obviously shooting this, is literally just to see like where you was and what your experience was like before, you met us, and then obviously how it looked like if you could walk us through that whole experience, that'd be awesome.
For sure. So I'll try to keep it brief, but there is a bit of a backstory, right? So my wife really has been doing it solo for the better part of 3 years, starting off with permanent makeup and then moving into the body sculpting arena. And she's doing fillers now as well with the hyaluron pin. So for the majority of that time, up until like second half of last year, she didn't have any assistant, didn't have anyone helping her. She finally hired an assistant, and she needed to, because she was starting to get to the point where she couldn't manage all the business by herself, right? Which is, she slow growed it. She had a good organic base, a lot of women who loved to come to see her, and she built a good core reputation and foundation for herself. And kind of about a year ago, she partnered with another company who was still running ads on social media, but they were also calling the leads for her, setting the appointments for her, and we were paying per appointment. Right. And I had my full-time job, and we had the kids and just trying to do our best with two incomes. So we got to a point where at the end of last year, her assistant got sick. She had a pancreatitis, and I had to jump in and kind of help out. I kept losing jobs due to the pandemic. So I kind of stayed in some sort of cycle of unemployed, and my wife's like, just come to work with me. I need help right now. My assistant's out. And so I decided to come through. At that time, she had already started talking to you guys about doing a trial. Yeah. Right. And my wife's really hard to get to do anything new. So it was kind of stunning to me that she was even open to doing something as far as the trial is concerned. Yeah. But she knew that the company she was with that was doing a kind of a guaranteed, we're going to get you a minimum number of appointments for your spend. They were struggling to hit that number every month. They were trying to get us 20 appointments a month, and they couldn't do it. And a lot of times those 20 were clients that they didn't even generate. Okay. So they're taking credit for clients they didn't get. My wife's too busy to go in there and spot check everything. So stuff sliding under the rug, if you will. And it was doing what it's supposed to do ish. Right. But it could definitely be better. And she wasn't as busy as she wanted to be. Right. But she was too busy to do anything about it, if that makes sense. It's kind of a hard place to be in. So she started this trial. I was working with her assistant because I have a sales background, especially with the phones. And so I was working with her assistant to get her prepared for this trial that we were about to embark on, where we had to work our own leads. Yeah. Right. And my thought was, if there's a company out there who can guarantee us leads, guarantee us appointments even, right, setting appointments for us, we only pay when they show up, they must be making enough of a profit for that to make sense for them as a business. Yeah. And I know there's no way that they're that much better at us at sales. Right. So I knew there was some room there to lower our cost per acquisition. And I knew that if we could figure that part out, then we could definitely set more appointments than what they're setting if we had control over our own budget. Yeah. So when she got sick, it kind of put the ball in my court, where I had to be the one who handled the phones and take the calls, which was a big blessing in disguise for the business. Mm-hmm. So we started the trial. I ended up being the one to get on the phones, and we absolutely crushed it. I mean, with a few $100 ad spend, we set more appointments in a couple of weeks than the company we're spending about $1,700 a month with would do in over a 30-day period. Awesome. Right. So we got really busy really fast, and the whole rapid med spa growth idea became really real to us. Like RMG, it's not just a name for us. It was really rapid growth. And
that's what it says, man.
Yeah. So the big decisions at that point wasn't whether or not this works. It was whether or not we want to grow our business, right? Because my wife is really good at running her own thing, having control over everything, relinquishing control and putting her trust in other people to do services, and hiring and running the business and training became the next question we had to answer as to whether or not we wanted to continue with you guys. And so we decided, hey, it made more sense when we did a little bit of math, that if I stayed in the business and helped do this part, I can't provide services, but my wife does training. She trains girls on the same services she does. People come in and pay for certifications. So she felt like if we could offer them a job at the end of their course, there's a good way to bring them in. So she started doing that. We brought on some providers, and at the same time went full time with RMG. And so we had our biggest month in January this year. Okay. 2021, we did about 15K in revenue, nothing crazy. And that's gross. Right. In February, we're in Austin. We had the snow apocalypse, as some have referred to it as, where we were shut down for over a week. Yeah. And we had just launched with RMG kind of halfway through that month. And then there was a whole week where we couldn't even do anything because the ice storm. So we still had our best month ever, even with a whole week off. And it being the shortest month of the year, we broke 20K, which was pretty cool. Wow. And then in March, we had a full month with RMG, had providers. Given all the issues with us trying to do all that, we still haven't figured that out yet. It's April now, and we're still trying to figure out how to run a business. But we did over 50K in March. So we went from 15K being our best month to 50K in a full month. And right now in April, we're pacing for 75.
Gee. That's good to hear, man.
Yeah. And the margins work real well, and we're paying people well enough for them to be happy. Estheticians don't make 100K a year in the United States. They're happy making about 50. And we're getting close to being able to pay them that, especially with tips and everything. And me just controlling everything up front as far as the sales process and the upsell process. So we're much like you guys in terms of everyone having a certain role. You know, Dan doesn't have to do too much. Tyrell doesn't have to do too much. You guys have assistants to do certain things. And so we kind of run our business in a similar way where everyone specializes in a certain area. But we're super excited, and we're looking at getting a bigger space. We already knew we wanted to do that, but now we know it needs to be even bigger than we were thinking before.
Makes sense. And that's amazing, like just to hear like what the growth has been. And I think now it's kind of just painted that clear picture of like where you want to take it to, obviously to the next level. And I mean, like, what would you say, like, and just to kind of wrap up, because you pretty much like nailed it all without even realizing, but like, I know when Eva like came to us, she was a bit on the fence and a bit skeptical, and it makes sense now because obviously she's worked with, you know, a previous company who was promising her, you know, as they do, they kind of like, they over promise and under deliver. And then obviously she was on the fence, but she joined. So what would you say to anyone else that would like, is on the fence of like joining a program like this? Well,
you know, with all due respect, I think that being on the fence is a healthy spot to be in. I do think you need to make a decision. I think the decision that we were confronted with is, do we have the bandwidth to handle leads ourselves? Right? Do we have bandwidth, and do we have enough of the skill and confidence to just jump on a phone call because someone said, I'm interested in your service, to be able to say, hey, we got your inquiry. We're super excited to meet you. You know, I want to answer your questions and we want to get you booked. If you can handle doing that on the phone and making sure you're not missing, you know, appointments as they come in. And I mean, when you talk about 30, 40, 50 appointments a month, it sounds like a big number, but it's really only a few leads a day, right? Right now we're converting 13 to 15% of the leads that we bring in. So, I mean, we're handling less than 10 leads a day on average. You know, some days we set 6 appointments. Those are big days for us, right? To set 6 appointments in a day is huge. So it's not that big of a commitment from a time standpoint, but you do have to pay attention to it, and you do have to be willing to adopt a new system. And if you're willing to do that, and you know, you're willing to pick up the phone and call people, right? I don't think there's a lot of spas out there that do that. I think a lot of prospects have been, I think, impressed with just us picking up the phone and calling them everyone's so online these days. Everyone wants everything to be automatic and easy, and there's no human touch involved. When we pick up the phone and call someone, I think they kind of fall in love with the intimacy that our business offers, where we actually care enough to call you and talk to you. So I think there's something magical about that in 2021.
Awesome. And literally, like, just touching on that point as well, I know because the thing is, you're already a rock star, obviously calling the leads and converting them. We have in the program like a whole training on that and scripts as well. But that's the thing, like, this has been able to be adapted around like your strengths as well. The fact that you're good at sales, and then, it's just only helped to take you to the next level. So, I mean, like, we like are super like excited for the growth, and we just want to see you continue to grow. And you've already got the processes. So we have a next process where literally like creating your dream team, so that then you can start working in the business and on it. But you naturally are already doing that because your wife is kind of in operations doing that. You're doing the sales. So you coming together like has been like a blessing in disguise. So it's just amazing.
Well, you guys have been real helpful. The automation, the sequences, we're utilizing text and not just email. I mean, those are huge components to the success of the campaign. I can't take too much credit for picking up the phone and calling folks, right? Like, because a lot of the follow-up that we have automatically going out based on how you guys set things up. There's a lot of things that are done for you. I think there's an initial call that needs to be made. I think it's good to make a follow-up call a day or two later, right? But that going along with the text messages that are already automatically sent, it should motivate someone to want to pick up the phone and call a couple of times, because you guys are already setting up so much outreach. There's very little work involved on the side of me as a salesperson. So anyway, kudos to you all as well for the work that you guys do and making sure that we have follow-up sequences already put in place and there's automation already there, just to help with our conversion rates overall.
Awesome. And like I said, it's been a privilege. And like I said, this is something that we're looking to help you from years and years to come. As long as business is open, we're here to help. So like, we really appreciate, you hopping on today, and we just appreciate everything that you're doing. And we appreciate the fact that we've been able to obviously meet and be able to help another Medispa clinic actually grow. So like, truly appreciate that.
For sure. Daniel's been great. He's been, obviously my main point of contact. And Daniel has a good way of making me feel like I'm the most important client. I know he's always really busy, but he'll proactively reach out. That's very rare. As far as, marketing companies are concerned, usually they're you have to call them. They're just gonna kind of like let the bill,
leave you out to dry and collect the
yeah. So Daniel's been awesome about just following up. He's like, man, I listened to some of your calls and the recordings sound great. And it's like he's actually putting work in behind the scenes. You guys are thinking of ideas and ways to address things I have concerns about and forward thinking about the business. So I feel like I'm really a partner with you guys and not just a client.
And that's why I said, like, we literally are, like, we see you as a partner and not a client, where we're just taking a paycheck from. So like I said, we're super duper pumped. I mean, Daniel, you want to close the floor?
Yeah, man.
You've been super quiet.
So Corey, man, it's really been a pleasure to work with you, man. And what would you say to anyone that's like on the fence? Like think about working with RMG, they're just not sure, they've been burned in the past. What would you say? Would you say what are your honest thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I'm if we wouldn't have done this, right? I really don't, if we'd have stuck with what we're doing, I definitely wouldn't be working there. I don't really know how we wouldn't be doing 75K. Like this is crazy right now. Like we're this close to doing $1 million a year. You be 83K is $1 million a year. We were just doing 10 to 15 a few months ago. So, how could I say no? I mean, I think you should try it. Absolutely. I do think situations matter, right? I do think they need to be considered. But if you have the ability to pick up the phone and call people, if you have the ability to work your own leads, I can't see any reason why. And if you can take on new business, obviously, if you can take on new business and you're able to call people, there's no reason why you shouldn't be leveraging a program that's going to bring you more business. I mean, you guys have done, to say bring you more business is an understatement.
Yeah. And like me and Terrell, everything that we do is like based on the needs of the client. So for example, you went through a program where you didn't have someone to call the leads directly, but something that we've noticed is that some of our clients, they're smaller business, it's just one person. They can't call up the leads. They're doing all of the work. So we're actively like trying to solve all of those problems as well. So like for the smaller businesses that, you know, maybe they're working all day, you know, we're going to have someone in-house that can call the leads, and, you know, somebody in-house that's trained. So I think it's just important kind of understanding where everybody's at and then building a program based on the, you know, our partner.
Yeah. I mean, if you set the automation up properly, you know, we found out through some of our discovery and some of the investigating we were doing with the program we were using prior to, with the guarantee in place, they weren't really making much of an effort to pick up the phone and call. They were simply sending links to the calendar for people to book themselves. And since we've added a little bit of that strategy into the sequence, where the initial text that goes out has the link to our calendar, people do book themselves a bit. Right. The call is still way better. And you should do both. But folks are booking themselves just with that that initial text message where it's like, claim your voucher here, click, and then we create a link that is not accessible anywhere on our website. So if you go to our website, you can't find that $50 voucher that we're, you know, running an ad for example. You can't find that price on our website. You have to have that link. So it makes it real. And it makes it, well, we've had some people share the link, or we'll get people who come in off that voucher who never came in through Facebook, right? So it's like, you know, I won't say anything crazy like it's going viral, right? But like
it's going viral.
It's definitely circulating, right? Like we've had several clients come in from campaigns, from a couple different campaigns for a couple different services that we've never talked to, that didn't come through the ad, they got the link somehow. Okay, so people talk to each other. You know, we do an excellent job, I think, of taking care of folks, and people want to feel like they're getting a good deal, and the ad reaches a lot of people. I mean, so it's hitting on all cylinders. They're really cool.
Awesome. I think that's pretty much it, right? I think we covered.
Yeah, that's a wrap. And like I said, we appreciate you taking the time out, Corey, because like I said, I know you're a busy man, and I think the next stop's going to be 100K a month. So we'll probably see you at 100K a month and probably ask for some tips. Probably not a full blown interview like this, just some tips, because you seem like a rock star. So we're just super pumped, man, to know that you've grown so much over the few months that we worked together.